welcome to today's tutorial. For today, we'll be looking at how to write your projects, okay? Project writing, dissertation, thesis. So we'll be looking at project writing. So at the end of today's tutorial, you should be able to know how to go about writing your project. So I'll be giving you step-by-step guide on how to write your project, and as well how to search for materials to ensure that your project is adequately written. All right. So in our previous video or lecture, I told you about how to go looking for problems. Okay, how to identify problems in project writing. So I believe you must have read or view or watch that video to know how to generate problems and how to as well generate a project topic before we can now go into project topic, or before we can now go into how to write the project. You must have now known how to generate the problem you want to solve, and you know all the characteristics that I've outlined there. If you've not done that, go back to that video and watch it so that you can get the step-by-step guide on how to generate a problem and characteristics of a good problem. So now we are going straight, now that you already have a topic, we are going straight to how you will write your projects. Parts of the format, the standard format that you will use to write a good project, okay? So you can write it down, take your pen, write whatever we are going to do today. First of all, when you are writing your project, let the font type of your thesis or dissertation to be New Time Roman. Okay, New Time Roman is what you should use, and the font size should be 12. The font size should be 12. New Time Roman, and the font size should be 12. Your dissertation should be double line spacing, except in your abstract. Okay, should be double line spacing except in your abstract. I will tell you what an abstract is. Now, project has two parts, or your dissertation has two parts. It has the preliminary part and then the main project. So I'll give you I will run through what is expected for you to do during the preliminary pages, and then we go to the main part. Under the preliminary pages, the first one is your cover page. So you have your cover page, write a cover page. The next one is your title page. Title page. Then after your title page, you should have your declaration. Declaration. After your declaration, the next should be certification. Certification. After your certification, your next one should be dedication. Dedication. The next one should be dedication. And your dedication should be simple and straight to the point. Simple and straight to the point. After your dedication, the next one should be your acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is to appreciate people that have been part of your project writing or your academic journey. It's not to pack all the names of people in your village to put in the acknowledgement. And remember, in your acknowledgement, it's your supervisor that is the number one first, not your parent. Some supervisors will not even sign if you start with your parent or with your pastors and all the other people. So then after your acknowledgement, the next page should be your abstract. Should be your abstract. Abstract is like the summary of what you have done. You don't write abstract from the beginning of the project. It's at the end of the project that you are going to write your abstract. Okay? And as I said earlier, your abstract should be single line spacing. And your abstract for undergraduates, your abstract should not be more than 300 words. So you do not go and write too many things and pack and put there and call it abstract. Okay? The abstract should not be more than 300. And do not italize your abstract. Before, abstract used to be italicized, but now, the current format, you don't italize your abstract. Don't italize your abstract. Then after your abstract, the next one should be table of content. Table of content, and there should be no line. Maybe you have, when you write this thing and put line like this and put the page number. No, just write the content and then the page. Don't come by doing line by line. Then after the table of content, there should be list of tables. You know, in your result or in your literature review, there may be some table, or in your result, you may have some analysis you've done that contain tables. So you put the list of tables. After the list of tables, should be the next one should be list of figures. List of figures. Of course, in your work in the medical school, definitely there will be some figures. Maybe you did some histological work that involved photomicrograph, so you need to put it there. Or you did some graph, some bar chart or graphical, whatever analysis you did, so there will be figures that will be there. So figures are essential. Then list of plates, yes, like the histological micrograph can be as plates that you can put there. And then list of abbreviations or symbols. Before you start using any abbreviation, you write it full, and then you, maybe in the list of abbreviation, you write the full meaning of that abbreviation, so that someone, if you are writing on BMI and you are using BMI, someone should be able to go there to check what BMI is and know that it's a body mass index. Is that clear? Yes. All right. So that is about the preliminary pages. So there's the first part of project writing. So we'll go to the second part. All right. Now we've talked about the preliminary pages, so you should know how to go about that. Now, in project writing, in College of Health Sciences or Faculty of Basic Medical Science here in University of Port Harcourt, we look at 5 chapters. 5 what? Chapters. 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 2 is literature review. Literature review. Chapter 3 is materials and method. Materials and method. Chapter 4 is your result and discussion or result presentation. Whilst chapter 5, summary, conclusion, and recommendation. Summary, conclusion, and recommendation. Now take note, sometimes chapter 4, we can just put results, presentation, and then chapter 5 we can say discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. Okay, I will explain the two as we proceed. So those are the 5 chapters in project writing. I take it again. Chapter 1 is introduction. Chapter 2 is literature review. Chapter 3 is materials and method. Materials and method. Chapter 4 is your result presentation. Chapter 5 is discussion, conclusion, and what? Recommendation. And in some cases, you can say summary, conclusion, and recommendation if discussion is with the result side. Okay? All right, so let's take them one by one. What are the components of introduction, your chapter 1? Now, remember, as you are writing, all the things you are writing should contain some points, some numbers. Should contain what? Numbers. You should, like chapter 1 is 1.0, and the first thing in chapter 1 is background to the study, which is 1.1. All right. Introduction. And then we said the 1.1 is a background to the study. Remember, I said background to the study, not background of the study. Background to the study. So you have to give the background of whatever study you want to carry out. That's your project topic. That's your research, is what you should give background to. not to go and talk about, for example, you are doing a work that has to do with the kidney. It's not for you to start talking about how kidney, the anatomy of the kidney. That is not background to the study. So the background to the study is about that your project, that your research work, okay, that you are trying to introduce to your reader, okay, what the project is about. Now, after background to the study, 1.2 is a statement of the problem. Statement of the problem. I've told you before how to generate a problem, right? So now you have to state the problem that you have been able to see after your search and you have seen the gap in literature. What is the existing problem? You state it. So when someone is reading your statement of the problem, it should be clear and concise to see that this is the problem, not the solution, the problem. So be able to state the problem that you have found, that maybe brought out your curiosity to try to carry out this research work. So the the problem should be clear, concise, innovative. Remember, in our previous lecture, I told you about how to generate a problem. So you should go back to that video and see how to. So make sure that the problem is just, when someone is reading it, just see that, oh, there is a problem here. Remember, it is a problem that you are generating, not problem that another person generated. So don't go and quote or cite somebody that social person's site was the one that found the problem. It means that you have not seen a problem. You should continue from where whoever stopped, because you have you have searched literature to see gap in literature, is it not? So the statement of the problem should be clear. Now after that, 1.3 should be aim and objectives. Aim, remember I say aim, not aims. Okay? Aim, meaning it's just one. What is your number one aim? What is that main thing that you want to do? Just state it there. Now, after the aim, after you have stated the, now come here and say 1.3.1 and say aim of the study. So you state the aim there, and then you come and say 1.3.2 and say objectives. Remember, I do not say specific objectives. Objectives of the study. Objectives of the study. So now the objectives of the study are those step-by-step things that you are going to do to achieve the aim. That has no significance, that has no relevance, that has no it's not solving any of the SDG goals, is it not? So you now state that, or questions, research questions, okay? If applicable. Okay. Then 1.6, maybe the scope of the study. But although in some, all right, so now chapter 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Chapter 2 is a literature review. Literature review. So under literature review, we can look at literature review. That is 2.0. So we can look at it as 2.1 and 2.2. 2.1 can be conceptual framework or theoretical framework. Okay? And 2.2 will now be empirical review. For undergraduates, you can just put the conceptual framework and theoretical framework together. But sometimes for postgraduates, you have to separate them. Now, what I mean by theoretical, conceptual or theoretical framework is that you look at the general theory about key concepts in your work that you're working on and try to write on them for whoever that is your reader to get a proper understanding of what that, like what I said before, that in case maybe if you are doing something on the kidney, it is under this 2.1 that you come to write details about the kidney if need be. Okay. The empirical review is where you write previous work that has been done. You are reviewing the literature. That is where emphasis is. That is the most important part as far as research is concerned. So you are going to search more work that has been done and review their work. What did they do and what was their findings? Okay, that is it. So that is when you say go and look for gap in literature, it is empirical review we're asking you to go and do. So go into empirical review, look at previous work that has been done, review the work they did, the method they used, and their findings, as many as possible. And if you have a good empirical review, when you are doing your discussion, it will be easier. It will not be difficult because in discussion you are going to be comparing your result with previous work that has been done. So you are not going to be having so much difficulty in discussing your work. But if you don't have a good empirical review, you find it difficult to compare your work with previous work. So look at as much work as possible so that you can have much comparison when discussing your results. So that is about chapter 2. Empirical review is key. So for my student, okay, I like more of empirical review because if it's about the other ones like the theoretical whatever, somebody I can pick a textbook of anatomy and read about the kidney. So that's not what I'm looking for. We want to look at work that has been done in that area of research that you want to do. Okay? All right. Somehow in some maybe at postgraduate level, you may be asked to, okay, after you've done this, just you've done a search of literature, add gap in knowledge that you have identified. But for undergraduates, I don't think that is much expected from you, okay, to add the gap in knowledge. So that is chapter 2. Now, chapter 3 is materials and method. Materials and method. Materials and method, or sometimes some people write a methodology, but I prefer materials and method. Now, when you are writing your materials and method, you don't come to list the materials involved. That is one of the common mistakes that students make when writing materials, because you add materials. So you now come, the materials to use for my project are, you learn list number 1, number 2, number 3. No, 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 that is not it. When you are writing the method of your experimentation, the material that you use will be listed in the process. Is it not? For example, now let's assume that you want to cook soup and you want to cook egusi soup. Okay, you don't first of all come to say egusi, mangi, this and this, them and keep. In the process of explaining how you prepared your egusi soup, all the materials and all the fish and things you use in cooking it will be mentioned, is it not? Yes. So that's what is expected. So when you are writing your project writing is like storytelling. Don't be afraid. Just relax. Like you are telling your story. So explain how you cook this food. Explain how you write how you are going to get your result from that, the method you use to get your result in your project. That is the methodology. So in methodology 3.1 we have research design. How is the work designed? You are going to tell us if it is a retrospective study or a prospective study. What I mean by retrospective study is a study that you go to hospital to take record work that has been done before. A prospective study means a study that you are doing it yourself. If it's an hospital-based study or something, you are doing it yourself. Okay, you are also going to tell us if it's an experimental work, where maybe like you in the basic medical sciences, you most of your work involves rats, right? Involve rats or mice, or let me say generally rodents. Okay, so you are going to tell us in your design how the work is going to be done. Why are you going to you are going to have a control group, you are going to have an experimental group, what you are going to give to the group, whether it's drug or it's food or it's all the and the various group, the number of animals involved, 20 and 20 rats or 30 rats, or you are going to how are you going to group them into how many groups? Is it going to be male or female? The weight of the animals. All those things are to be taken into consideration, okay, when you are looking at your study design. Just like a house, it is the design that will tell whoever that is looking at your work and say, this is how this work is going to be done. So study design is key. Now the next 3.2 is study area. Study area. Remember, I wanted to talk about study area. I talked a little thing about study area when I'm talking about the scope. Okay, so study area is like the place. If you are doing an anthropometric study, that is where a study that has to do with measurements of the various body parts. You talk whether the work is being done, will be done in, or was done in Lagos, or was done in Abuja, or was done in any part of the world. Okay, so the study design, the study area is key when you are doing your research. You must state where the work was done. Okay, and if possible, give a little geography of that area. If you said the work is to be done in Obiakpo, maybe we need to know Obiakpo, where is it in Real Port Harcourt, where is Port Harcourt bounded by Akwa Ibom, or some little geography of the study area. Now, the next 3.3 is population of the study. Population of the study. Population of the study. This work you want to do, you say you want to do measurements of the maybe measurement of any of the part of the body. Let's say arm circumference or thereabout. Okay. Now you are going to say amongst maybe children or adults. Okay. So we need to state the population, and if it's among children or adults, where in Bodo. So we need to know the population of the Bodo. We need to know the people that you want to do the work. So the population is key. Then the next one is sampling techniques. Sampling techniques. For a kind of anthropometric work too that you said, or maybe radiologic work, you said you want to use maybe 400 subjects or 400 patients. How do you arrive at 400? You don't just do because there's 400, you say 400. You must have calculated your sample size. Okay? And you must state the formula that you use in calculating your sample size. It's key. We want to see the formula. I want to know how you arrive at that figure. It's not just to come and say, I use 200 patients, I use 400 subjects, or I use 20 rats or 50 rats. There are various formulas to arrive at your sample size. So you must ensure that the sample size is well defined. Okay? Now, 3.6 is method of data collection or instrument of data collection. Now, this data that you are going to collect, how did you get it? Which method did you use? Which instrument did you use? We want to know. As a researcher, you must state the method you use in collecting your data. Okay? So, method of data collection is key. So, if you are doing a retrospective work whereby you go to hospital to take record, you state it that it was a retrospective work whereby you just collected data from the hospital record. Okay? If it is something by which you did measurement, you state it. The method, how you collect your data, you must state it. The instrument you use in collecting your data, you state it and explain the process of that data collection. Okay? So if, for example, as I said that you are maybe measuring mid-arm circumference and other, you state how the mid-arm circumference was determined. Is it not? So in the process, you are explaining how the method of data collection. And if it is instruments, if instrument is involved too, there can be validation or reliability of the instruments. Okay? Most cases. Then the next one, that's 3.7. 3.8 is method of data analysis. Now you have collected your data. You want to analyze. How will you analyze your data? It's very key. And you must know how to analyze data based on the kind of work you are doing. If you are doing a work that has to do with two groups, you should know the kind of data analysis that should be done. If you are doing a work that has to do with several groups, you should know the kind of analytical tools you should use. So you should state the method you will use or you used. If it's a proposal, you say will. But if it's your main project work, you put it in a reporting form, the method you use in analyzing your data. Then 3.9 will be ethical approval or ethical approval. For every work that involves human, you must have an ethical approval. You will not say that you want to go and do an invasive study or go and take people's information without approval. And sometimes consent form, okay, you should state that things like that were obtained before, because if you there's no ethical approval to your work, it means that your work is not valid. You cannot go and do work without ethical approval, or you go and sacrifice animal without ethical approval. It's not permitted. Okay, so you must get your ethical approval. In every institution, there are ethical clearance or ethical approval units. So go and look for the one that has to do with your own institution. Now, chapter 4 has to do with result presentation. Result presentation. Remember, I said earlier that some school will say result and discussion, or some school will just leave it and say result presentation. Okay? Now, if it is result and discussion, it means that you are going to put the result of your work. And when you finish putting the result of your work, you now put, there's a 4.1 will be the result of your work, and 4.2 will be the discussion of your result. Okay? But in some other school, they will just say result presentation. So you just put your result there. Remember I talked about list of tables, list of figures, list of plates and all that. This is where those things will be presented. Those things you have analyzed, the data you have analyzed, this is where you put them. Okay? And then you put the figures or the plates or the tables, as the case may be, in that place. Now, then under chapter 5 is, I said earlier too, that some school will say discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. While some other school that have discussion with chapter 4 will now say summary, conclusion, and what? Recommendation. So let's take the one that has to do with discussion, conclusion, and what? Recommendation. Now, remember you have presented your result. Okay? It is in discussion, that's 5.1, that you explain in details how that your result was gotten, okay, that the outcome of your finding, and make reference to where they are in the result. Maybe see figure 1, figure 2, figure 4.1 or figure 4.2, so that when somebody is reading and saying, okay, there was significant difference, okay, you can now say in bracket figure 4.1, we go and see the figure to see where that was analyzed and actually see that what you are saying is correct. So what you are doing now, you are discussing your result. Somebody that is following you is saying that you are explaining how the result was done, whether it was there was significant difference after your analysis, or there was no significant difference, whether there was any observable features, or you observe some if it's a histological study, you observe some changes in the structural architecture of the tissue or cells. You explain those things. You are putting it, and you are making reference to the figure, so that someone will go back there and see, okay, actually this occur, this occur, this occur. That is the first part of your discussion. Now, when you are finished discussing your own result, the second part of your discussion now is to compare your result with previous work that has been done. Remember, I told you that if you do a nice empirical review, you will not have problem here. Because whatever you want to do, people have done something similar. There's nothing that's completely new. It may not be exactly what you are doing, but something similar has been done, is it not? Maybe they use the same method, but different animal, or different method and the same animal, okay? Or different drugs, or different abstracts, but something similar has been done, which you have checked literature. So in your discussion, you begin to discuss as compare your own result with that result, and find out that what your findings is telling us, whether it is similar to what Peter et al. Did in 2021, or it is not similar. So you compare to other work that has been done, compare your work. When you do a robust discussion, that is where people will know that you actually carry out this work by yourself. So discussion is key. Is key. Okay, remember too, I forgot to tell you, in your empirical review, sometimes it's easier to do empirical review, okay, maybe in a chronological order, okay, not just to do it randomly. You can do it maybe, or you do it based on geographical location. What I mean by chronological, you can look at it for maybe from so year down to the current year. Are you getting me? Not that your first empirical review is showing 2019, then the next one 2024, And then we see the next one, 1970 something. Are you getting me? So you can, if for proper understanding for someone, you can do it from the older to the current, or you do it in a way that you review your literature, work that was done globally, maybe at the globals in America, Europe, you before come to Africa, before come to Nigeria, before come to South or Port Harcourt. Are you seeing it now? It makes it easier to see how it's being done than for the first review you did. It's showing work that was done in Japan. The next one we are seeing the one that was done in Abeokuta, Nigeria. The next one we see the one that was done in New York, and all that. It does it, so it's not following a trend. So it's proper. Okay, but although at undergraduate we may not bother you in terms of, but if it's postgraduate, it's proper to put it in that trend. So when you have a nice empirical review in terms of your discussion, you flow very well. Okay, so after your discussion, the next one is conclusion. Conclusion, that is 5.2. You are concluding your work. You are not concluding the work that was done by other people. This is where other people, lot of students make mistake. They will come and conclude things that has nothing to do with their work. Hmm? So you are concluding the work that you have done. That's like a kind of your findings. That's what you are concluding. And then your recommendation too should also be out of the work you have done. Is when you recommend. You don't go and recommend something that you didn't do, that you are telling government to come and do this, come and do that, whereas you did not do any research in that area that you are recommending for government to do or for policymakers to do. Are you getting me? So recommend based on the findings of your work. It doesn't mean that because you want to get so many recommendations. Recommendation can be one, can be two, can be three. It doesn't matter. But make sure that it is from the work. And that is, if it's postgraduate, from the recommendation to the next thing will now be like contribution to knowledge. Okay, what is that thing that is new out of all the work you have done? What is that thing? Contribution to knowledge. What have you contributed? It must be one small thing out of all the things that we've been talking about that is new that nobody else have done. And that is the reason why you did that. Somebody else that will search for literature will continue from where you stop. Remember, we said you can't solve. There are some problems that you must choose a problem that has magnitude, is it not? You remember, right? So if you stop here, you have ability to continue from where you stop. You continue like that, okay? So there must be something that you have contributed to knowledge, okay? So that is a contribution to knowledge is 5 point what? 5 point what? 5.4. 5.4, right?
Yes.
Okay. 5.4. Now, in some schools, to the limitations of the study may be added in this chapter, or sometime in chapter 3. Just put some limitations of the study. And when you say limitation of the study, it's not to come and state that there was no money to carry out the project. That is not limitation, okay? The limitation that you encounter during doing the work, during the process of carrying out the research is what you should state, and not there was no money. I couldn't have money to carry out my project. That was the limitation. No, it's not a clear limitation. So that's 5.5. The next thing that we'll consider is how to search for materials for you to write your project. You know, if you don't know how to search for material, you come back and tell your supervisor there is no material on this topic. That you couldn't see material does not mean that there is no material. So you need to be taught how to search for what? Material. It's very key, because I've seen a lot of students who come and say, sir, I have searched everywhere, I couldn't see material for my project work. Okay? Now remember, for example, like those of you that stays here in Port Harcourt, if you are looking for fruits and you go to Choba market, there are some fruits that you see in Choba market, that's a general market. There are some fruits you will not see, except you go for specific market, which is the fruit market in D-Line, right? When you go to I didn't know that this fruit is in Nigeria. You thought it's only abroad, but you do not know that it's here in Nigeria. Because you've been looking at Choba market to buy your fruits, okay? So most times, a lot of students go on Google, general Google, to search for materials. When you go for to search material on Google and you do not see it, you will now say that there's no material on this topic, okay? So you go to specific places where you can use specific search engine that you can use to look for materials. When you are writing your project, remember the references I gave you was just for journal referencing. Remember too, there's a different type of referencing when you are doing references a book. I forgot to talk about how to reference a book. In place of a journal, you put the book, the name of the book. Okay, in place of the journal volume and the issue, you put the edition. Okay, so it's better I put that now so that as you are listening to, you can add that to what I have said previously. Okay, so now when you are searching, like I will use those of you in medical school as an example. You don't just go to general Google to search for material. Let's start from the Google itself. There is a particular search engine called Google Scholar. Called what? Google Scholar. So when you go on the Google and type Google Scholar, it will open just like the normal Google, and then in that place you type what you are looking for. You see a lot of work that has been published that are related to that your work will pop up, will come up, okay, and then you begin to see the one that is closer to what you are looking for. Remember, we are looking at how to what? To search for materials. Search for materials. How to search for materials. Okay, so the first place you go to is Google. Let's use capital letter here. That's one. Two is Google Scholar. So the second, you can go to ResearchGate. The same way this thing will pop up when you search ResearchGate. You see articles that have been published, okay, that is similar to what you are looking for will come up. Or the third one, you can go on PubMed. You can go on PubMed, and then it will open, and you type your topics that you are looking for. You see a lot of similar articles will come up. If you just go on general Google or Wikipedia, don't use Wikipedia and all that to write project work. Always get your writing from a journal, okay? From a journal. And remember, when you are writing, get the current thing, because if you go 10 years before, some of those things that you are writing may have been other researchers may have cancelled or find a superior argument over what you put there. For the sake of undergraduate of this class, I will stick to these three. Okay, there's no way you go to Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and PubMed that you will not see enough materials related to your topic. And when you are putting your topic, you don't put it the way it is, because nobody has it exactly the way it is. It will limit the search engine to bring out. Remember that this is like machine learning. This work with algorithm. So once you just put things, it bring out similar something. So you can see a way to modify your topic in that can bring out something that you want, not exactly as it is. Do you get? And you get as much materials. This is just the simple way for you to get your materials. Another simple way that you can get your material, assuming now that you've gotten one article. If you see that article, you see that the person in the referencing list of the person, there are several articles that have been listed, is it not? You can go to those articles too to get the article. By the time you get the article, in that article you also get other list of referencing that is in that article that you can go through and see the one that's close to what you are looking for and go for the paper. Now remember, in the process of searching for this, there are some articles that you need very well that they may demand that you pay. Okay, that they may demand that you pay. Leave the one, if you don't have the money, leave the one that they demand you to pay. But if you actually need it, there's nothing wrong with paying for what you want in life. You pay for it, but if you don't have money to pay for it, you can leave it and look for the one that is free. There are a lot of free ones. Then even though the one that they say you pay, Okay, you need it so much. You can, if you look at the abstract or this, you will see email of the corresponding author. You can just email the person, tell the person that you have read his or her articles and it's very good, and you are following it up on link on ResearchGate or Google Scholar, that you are doing similar something and you may like to get the full article. Request for the full article. And by the time you try 1, 2, 3, at least one person will respond to you and give you the free article. Are we together? So don't just run away to say that, oh, they say I should pay $10 or $50 or $100. I don't have the money. You can reach out to the author through email, okay, or through a message on the side gate, and the person will respond to you. If the person do not respond to you, you have nothing to lose as well. Okay, that's why you're a researcher. So you keep on knocking at people's door to get what you want for proper work that you want to do. Okay, so the next point is referencing. Okay, so we're looking at referencing, how to reference your project work. Now, in the course of writing your literature review or writing the entire project, remember that all the materials you are using to write is not your own. You took it from somewhere, right? So all the people you took what they have written before and put on the internet or wherever you get your material from must be referenced. Must be what? Reference. Now, the first one is the index or in-text referencing. That is the citation. The citation. So if you make a statement, like when you are writing your background to the study, any statement that is not your own, you must cite it. Any statement that is not your own, you must cite it because somebody made that statement. And in the process of citing it, to try as much as possible to paraphrase it, because there will be plagiarism test. That is the test that will check if you copy from somebody. That is academic stealing, intellectual property stealing. If you copy and paste, it's stealing. So you must paraphrase it, okay? And then do in-text referencing. It's called citation. It's called what? Citation. Now, so for example, if we made a statement to say that anatomy is the study of the structure of the human body, okay? That statement is not your statement. You took it from somewhere. So after you've made the statement, you should be able to cite it, okay? And when you are doing that in-text citation, first, if it is two author, you can write, let's say David, okay, and who? And Goliath. David and Promise. Okay? David and Promise. 2025. If it is at the end of the writing, okay, you can write David and Promise 2025. Okay? Some other school of thought on that you see using this symbol and all that of hand. Okay? Now, if you observe, you see that I do not use there's no initial of the David here. There's no initial of the Promise. Okay? So the referencing style that we are going to use is called APA. It's called what? APA. APA 7th edition. APA 7th edition. I will send you the PDF of that APA 7th edition, but I'll talk about it. So just listen to so that you understand. So if it is at the end of your writing, this is how you do it. But if it is at the beginning, for example, now you could say you started with David and Promise said, you are not going to put it this way. So you just put David and Promise. So the only thing you put in bracket is the year. Okay? David and Promise 2025 said, then you consider whatever you are going to say. Okay? But if it's at the end, you put them in brackets. Now, if it is more than two authors, okay, you are not going to say David, Promise, Peace, Goliath, okay? It will be too long in your work to be citing like that. So you say David what? At what? Oh, 2025. Okay? Now, In the 7th edition, they don't italize at all. Okay? Previously, they were italicing it. So even though the materials you are going to get your work from is italicized, remove it. That shows that you are in today's class. So you do not italize it. Okay? Or if it's at the end too, David et al. 2025, full stop. If it's at the beginning, the way I said it. Now, when you are writing, don't just be writing monotonously. Maybe you write, you cite at the end. You write the next paragraph, you cite at the end. It doesn't flow well, right? So when you write, you can alternate it. You can start middle and at the end. Start middle and end. So let it flow so that whoever that is listening to you will see the flow of what you are doing. All right? Now, remember, as you are writing your work and you are citing in the body of the work, make sure that you have your referencing page somewhere so that those material that you are using, okay, you don't misplace them, because you are going to write the details of the David et al. At the back of their work when you finish. Now, APA, referencing style, said that if you write the name of authors, name of author or authors, okay, year of publication, comma, title of article, journal are where you get articles from. Journal of publication. Okay. Journal of what? Publication. Then the volume of the journal. Then the issue. I will explain what this means of the journal. And then the pages where it was taken from. Okay? So for example, let's use one. Let's use the one we said, David. My initial is LK, right? Comma. What is the other person is a promise. Let's assume promise is the surname. Remember, it's the surname we are using. Promise BL. Comma. Then another name, because we say et al, meaning it's more than one. So Empress. BC. That is 2025. Okay. The title of article. Let's say we publish something on what? Mental degradation. So we publish it in the Journal of Mental Health. Is it not? So the title of what we publish is mental what? Spell it. GRA. Okay. Something like that. Okay, that's the title of the article. Okay. And then it was in Journal of Mental Health. Journal of Mental Health. Okay. Then the next one is what? The volume. Now the volume is showing the year that journal has been in existence. So when you see volume 10, it means that journal has been existing for 10 years. When you see issue 1 or issue 2 or issue 3, as the case may be, it's showing the number of times that the journal published in a year. So if it's issue 1, it means that maybe they publish, or let's say issue 1, that's the first issue they publish in that year. If the issue 2, it means that is the second issue. That is the second publication that journal has brought out that year. Maybe every 6 months they do it. Some journal will be every 3 months, or some journal will just one in a year. So let's say this one was mental health. Okay, this one was volume what? Sometimes it's written in short form, or you write it as volume what? Let's say 10. Okay, issue what? 2. Eh? And then pages 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 6. Full stop. Now remember too, sometimes you may not write this volume 10 issue, you just see 10 brackets 2. That is what they mean without the name issue. But I'm writing it down for the sake of learning. Okay? So that you can be able to see how it is done. So if your references do not contain all this, it means that it is not complete. So that is how. So everything that was cited in the body of the work must be in the referencing page. Anything that is on the referencing page must also be in the body of the work. Is that clear? All right. Thank you for today's lecture. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay? Subscribe to my channel. All of you say subscribe to my channel.